Holy cow, these cultures are so old. What in the world? This guy literally came up with Bluetooth. This is so overwhelming. Is your mind blown right now? Because mine is insanely blown. What is up? Welcome back. Today we're watching a video titled The Nordic Countries, Animated Scandinavian History. These animation things are so cool, and so I just had to click on this video. What's up? If you haven't met me yet, my name is Aaron, and this is Aaron Arnold Reacts. Through this channel, I'm discovering everything about Europe. People, culture, sports, history, anything you can imagine, I'm learning about it here. The goal of this channel is to laugh together, to learn together, and to have fun together. I post videos every single day, so you're gonna keep seeing me around. If you wanna see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. And now let's get into this video.
Scandinavia refers to the three northern European countries of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden.
Oh, okay.
Norway and Sweden cover most of the Scandinavian peninsula. Together with Finland, these are the Nordic countries. Iceland
Nordic
is
countries.
also typically included as both a Nordic and Scandinavian country.
Oh, interesting.
Greenland and the Faroe Islands are both autonomous countries within the Kingdom of Denmark. The Baltic countries of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia also share many cultural and historical similarities with the Nordic countries.
Okay.
In the present day, the vast majority of the region's population lives near the coast. This was even more so throughout most of history. Dense forestation and little arable land led to small, close-knit communities forming by the sea. During the region's prehistory, the early cultures that arose there were compelled to become adept about...
Hold on a second. Holy cow, these cultures are so old. Funnel beaker culture, pitted ware culture, corded ware, battle axe, Nordic Bronze Age. This is insane. I mean, I've heard of Vikings. Is that what these cultures are? Because they're so 4,300 BC. That is crazy. Okay. So you're gonna get down into a country by country now?
boat builders and expert fishermen. The introduction of crops and farm animals, which were first domesticated in the Near East, promoted a slow but steady increase in population. Competition for limited resources and the harsh northern climate meant that in scarce times, the constant raiding of one's neighbors became a way of life, fostering a warlike culture. It is commonly believed that during the 3rd millennium BC, Indo-European languages replaced the older Neolithic languages of southern Scandinavia, either through invasion, peaceful migration, or slower cultural diffusion. In the Nordic Bronze Age that followed, the region prospered, as it became connected through intermediaries to the larger international trade network of Mediterranean and Near Eastern empires.
What? Okay, that's interesting.
Scandinavian amber has been commonly found in Bronze Age graves in Greece, while Mycenaean beads and gold from the south has been found in Nordic graves of the period. The Nordic Bronze Age culture had no written language. However, it is evident from the material record that their society survived for many centuries after the region-wide collapse of the Near Eastern Bronze Age empires in the 12th century BC, albeit in a much diminished fashion. Throughout their late Bronze and early Iron Age, the Nordic peoples had little contact with the outside world, and there is little surviving material culture from this time. It is believed limited contact with these peoples, or word of mouth, led to the Greek legends of Hyperborea, a land of giants in the north, where the sun...
What in the world? So the giants come from this area. Okay. And I can see there's an early age iron axe head there. Is that what the people were using? I mean, I'm sure it is, but okay. I didn't realize there was so much trade. I mean, how did they even trade? Because I know Scandinavia is known for its ships, right? So did they just sail down there to Greece and to these areas, or how did that look?
The sun never set. In the Cimbrian War of the late 2nd century BC, several tribes from Jutland migrated south, defeating all of the Celtic tribes they came into contact with. These new people, who the Romans called Germani, or Germans, had migrated south because their homeland had suffered severe flooding. The Germanic tribes decisively defeated the Romans in their first 3 major battles with each other. Rome suffered the heaviest losses it had since the Punic Wars with Carthage. The Romans were able to regroup and decisively defeat the Germans. As the Romans defeated, slaughtered, or enslaved the Celtic tribes in what is now France, Germanic tribes from what is now Denmark defeated the Celts and consolidated their control over the territory north of the Roman Empire. For many centuries, the Romans held these tribes at bay, with an extensive network of fortifications and garrisoned troops. During the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Vandals, and the Franks greatly contributed to the fall of the continental portion of the empire.
This is blowing my mind. Are you tracking this? Is this accurate, by the way? I want to make sure all this is accurate. This is insane. This is how Scandinavia was formed. Sounds like really powerful and strong people throughout history.
The island of Britain was conquered by the Angles, Saxons, and the Jutes from what is now Denmark and northern Germany. Over a relatively short period of time, these Germanic tribes converted to Christianity and formed kingdoms, many swearing allegiance to the Pope in Rome. By the end of the 8th century, Northern Europe experienced the greatest period of peace and stability since before the fall of the Western Roman Empire.
Wow, okay.
This came to an end with the dawn of the Viking Age. In 793, the monastery of Lindisfarne was plundered, and the monks who survived were enslaved. The Viking longship was one of the most impressive pieces of technology of its day.
Okay.
Its impressive design and shallow draft meant that it was capable of both sailing on the open seas and in constricting rivers better than any other ship of its day. The marauders who appear on the pages of history at the end of the 8th century did not refer to themselves as Vikings, nor did their contemporaries. To go Viking meant to go raiding. The three main groups of these raiders were the Danes, Norsemen or Norwegians, and Swedes. All of these terms were sometimes used in a generic sense by outsiders to refer to all northern invaders. In the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms of Britain, they were often collectively called the Danes, because most of the Northmen to raid there were Danes. Denmark was the first Nordic country to form a large unified kingdom at some point earlier in the 8th century, while in Norway, there were...
Oh, really? So Denmark formed first. Was that around the... I think I actually watched a video the other day about Denmark, and it was 812 when they formed the kingdom. Is that correct?
Around 30 small kingdoms. The unified Danish kingdom must have aided them in the organization of larger campaigns. In the spring of 845, a fleet of 120 Danish longships sailed down the Seine River to Paris. They besieged and then captured the city, which was ravaged and looted. They were convinced to leave after being paid a bribe of over 5,000 pounds of gold and silver. During the Viking Age, such bribes to avoid plunder were called the Danegeld, the Danes' gold, and
so the Danish were really something back in the day. They were really the Vikings. Okay, so they literally sailed down to Paris, took it, and then got money also to get all this gold to just get out of there. That's pretty insane.
And became quite common throughout Britain and the Frankish Carolingian Empire. 2 decades later, the so-called Great Heathen Army, a large coalition of Northmen, conquered much of the island of Britain and established Danelaw there. In 872, Harold Fairhair established the Kingdom of Norway, uniting many of the smaller petty kingdoms. In the east, the Northmen, predominantly the Swedes, sailed down the rivers of Eastern Europe, raiding and extracting tribute for decades. There, they were known as the Varangians, or the Rus. The Varangian Rurik established rule over a loose confederation of Slavic and Finnic peoples, called the Kievan Rus. Rurik's dynasty ruled in some part of Russia for 21 generations, over a period of 700 years, until the death of Tsar Vasily IV in 1612. From the 9th through 11th centuries, many Swedes settled on the coast of what is now Finland. The Danes focused on controlling England, while the most north of the Northmen colonized the north of Scotland, parts of Ireland, and later, Iceland and Greenland.
Hold on a second. That's why the people are so different. So the Scottish, are they more similar to Norwegians? Like, this is really fascinating. So Norwegians took over Scottish area and Irish area. Wow, it's so much to try to take in, but I think I'm tracking here.
In the early 10th century, Rollo, a Norseman of either Danish or Norwegian origin, was Viking about in the northwest pointy part of France. The Frankish king was unable to effectively militarily deal with him, so he found another solution. He gave Rollo Normandy, which was named after the Norsemen. Rollo converted to Christianity and served under the French king as Duke of Normandy, and was charged with protecting France against other Northmen. Rollo's Francisized, French-speaking descendants were the Normans. During the early 10th century, the last Anglo-Saxon kingdom, Wessex, drove out the Danes and became the unified country of England for the first time. A few decades later, in
Was that under King Alfred, by the way? Does anybody know that?
70. The Swedes united under their first king, Eric the Victorious. That same year, Harold Bluetooth,
Harold
King of the
Bluetooth.
Danes, who had previously converted to Christianity, along with much of the country, conquered Norway.
This guy literally came up with Bluetooth, which is insane. Like, that's what it's named after.
Bluetooth lost and regained Norway. His son, Sven Forkbeard, also lost and regained Norway, and then conquered England. His realm has been called the North Sea Empire. After his death, the Triple Crown was split up. A few years later, his son Canute managed to unite all three crowns again, after a decade of constant war in both England and Scandinavia. After Canute's death, all three kingdoms split again. Magnus the Good of Norway peacefully claimed the crown of Denmark as the result of a very good deal he had made. His brother, Harald Hardrada, succeeded him as King of Norway. Harald had previously worked as a mercenary for the Grand Prince of the Kievan Rus, and then worked many years for the Eastern Roman Empire. He became commander of the Varangian Guard and campaigned throughout the Mediterranean. In 1066, both Harold and then William, Duke of Normandy, invaded England. The English defeated the Norse in the north, and then lost to the Normans in the south. Most historians consider Harold's invasion of England to be the end of the Viking Age. During the following...
So England, I didn't realize England was conquered so many times. This is blowing my mind right now. So this Scandinavian area absolutely dominated Europe. They dominated it. Wow.
During 12th and 13th centuries, conflict internalized around Scandinavia and the Baltic. After the last Swedish pagans were either dead or converted to become good Catholics, the Swedes embarked on crusades to convert or conquer the Finns on their opposite shore. Sweden and Denmark then fought a very long series of wars to control Norway. To overly summarize them, Denmark generally had the upper hand in the early wars. The three kingdoms joined together to form the Kalmar Union, with one monarch for more than a century. The Kalmar Union was not really united, and fought wars with itself. In 1523, Sweden officially split up with the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway, ending the Kalmar Union. Sweden generally had the upper hand in the later wars of the 16th and 17th centuries. Under the brilliant military tactician, Gustavus Adolphus, Sweden invaded the Holy Roman Empire during the 30 Years' War. The Swedish army had great success in aiding the German Protestants. Gustavus Adolphus died in a major battle where his army was victorious. The Swedish were later defeated by the Spanish, who were supporting the German Catholics. The remaining Swedes withdrew to northern Germany for the remainder of the war. Sweden then resumed fighting.
This is so overwhelming. I mean, I'm trying to take all this in, but it's really, really insane. 30 Years' War, Sweden paired with the Protestant side of Germany, but the Swedes end up losing a lot because the Catholic side of Germany paired with the Spanish Catholics. I'm trying to track. Is your mind blown right now? Because mine is insanely blown.
Fighting more wars with Denmark, and also entered into a series of wars with Poland and Russia. In the Great Northern War, pretty much all of Sweden's neighbors went to war against it. The Swedish king, Charles XII, initially had a great deal of success, until he marched on Moscow. Things went downhill from there, and the Swedes eventually lost the long war. Russia established itself as a major power, while Sweden went into decline. During the Napoleonic Wars, Russia annexed Finland from Sweden. In the aftermath, Sweden received Norway in a trade with Denmark. Sweden still had to fight a war with Norway to compel them into unifying. Throughout the 19th century, a large portion of Norway's population left the country. They predominantly resettled in the United States, particularly Minnesota and Wisconsin. In 1905, Norway became independent. Finland was able to gain its independence in 1917 as a result of the Russian Revolution. During the Great War, the Nordic countries were able to maintain neutrality. However, during the not-so-great sequel, Germany occupied Denmark and Norway, while Finland managed to retain its independence throughout the war, despite a massive Soviet invasion, and having supported and then battling the losing Germans in the last year of the war.
Oh my gosh.
In 1949, Legos were invented in Denmark.
He just randomly drops that quick fact in there.
Countries proceeded to achieve some of the highest standards of living anywhere in the world.
Wow.
With decent furniture at affordable prices, lots of work, delicious food, and some of the best music out there. the region has a lot going for it today. This has been Epimetheus, and I hope you have enjoyed this video.
Crazy video. I feel like I learned so much. I'm a bit overwhelmed. I think I need to watch that video like 3 or 4 times to truly understand what's happening. There's so much conquering and battles, and Norway and Sweden and Denmark combined, and then they weren't, and then they were. Yeah. Did you know this history? Am I the only one who's learning about all this? This is craziness. The Vikings are like the coolest people ever. When I think of a Viking, I just think of a total, insanely powerful person, is a giant and rips heads off and that kind of thing. Vikings are some of the coolest people ever, and their outfits are crazy awesome. Anyways, I learned about Scandinavia. I hope you did too. If you enjoyed it, if you had fun, if you learned something, make sure to hit like and subscribe. I'm posting videos every single day, and I want you right there with me. So I will see you in the next video. Cheers.